What words would you use to describe the feeling you associate with each one? Is it anxiety, joy, confidence, and adequacy, boredom, affection, irritation? Those all make us more or less attractive one another. Outside the classroom, we all operate in the same way. Human relationships are infinitely complex because we ourselves are. But the basic dynamic is rather simple. Approach or avoid. We tell people to come closer till we tell them to back off. People communicate the same thing to us. So much what happens between human beings is a result of how we communicate our emotions. And it all depends on something deep inside us, perhaps hidden from our own view, our emotional state. Throughout this book, we will discuss all the ways we communicate our feelings about whomever we are dealing with at any given moment, the subtle, light and fast facial expressions, body language, vocal inflections, touch, and everything else is our arousal of signals. When we are expressing positive emotions authentically, contentment, compassion, joy, we do so in a way that draws in other people, whether it's your best friend or a supermarket cashier. They can read all signals clearly, and many respond in kind, but it depends on their emotional state. People feeling emotions such as sorrow, shame, or anxiety often wish to discourage social interactions, and these signals are also being communicated. Those people might benefit most from engagement with others, but too often it's unlikely to happen. This is a particularly serious problem in our schools, which often reprimand children when they express a negative emotion rather than see it as a cry for help. These are the kids who are neglected, ignored, or suspended for misdemeanor when they should be given empathy, extra attention, and opportunities to build the skills and the meaningful relationships. Research shows that having just one caring children can make the difference between whether a child will thrive or not. We all have multitudes of relationships with our children, and parents and significant others, but also with our plumber, the driver in the next lane, our softball teammates, our boss or colleague, and the woman who holds the door open for us at the mall. And all these connections operate on the same basic principle. Our mood at any given moment is expressed in the signals we send out. If we are feeling joyful and open and expansive, it will make us confident and accepting of others. If we are feeling down on ourselves, it will color how we relate to other people, or if we connect at all. We tell people what we want from them by the messages we send, whether warm and hoping for a response in kind, or off-putting when All we want is distance. This is a challenge for many people on the autism spectrum. They have a difficulty reading the cues and are coming up with an fitting response, and they have difficulty sending cues and other people understand. As a result, they struggle building and maintaining relationships. We also express emotions in order to get what we want from the people in our lives. If we make a show of anger, we may not earn much empathy, but we instill fear in others and maybe remove any obstacles that were in our way. If, on the other hand, we need cooperation and understanding, we know what emotion message to send that will get the response we desire. People feeling compassion seek greater common humanity with the strangers. They punish others less, are more generous and cooperative, and are willing to sacrifice for others. Research shows that high-powered individuals tend to be less responsive to the emotion of people around them. In one study, these individuals responded with less compassion than people with less power when listening to someone describe suffering. Does this phenomenon explain anything about our political and business leaders? Sometimes the emotions we feel sincereness that elicit the opposite of response we want and need. Picture a typical child. If he is troubled or anxious, he may wish that his parent or a teacher would reach out and offer comfort. But when those adults sense the child's emotional state, especially when he isn't acting out, they may respond in just the opposite way. Because of their own emotional response to the stimulus of negative mood. These dynamic rules much of human interaction. When in need, emotional support most is when we are least likely to receive it. We didn't intervene. What was his mindset? Stay away. This kid's a whip. Who needs to toughen up? Was he too preoccupied with his own issues to pay attention to mine? Perhaps he was just at a loss about what to do. Either way, I suffered socially, emotionally, academically. Our emotions are linked to physiological reaction in our brains, releasing hormones and other powerful chemicals that, in turn, affect our physical health, which has an effect on our emotional state. It's all connected. That's why physical sickness can be caused by mind under emotional stress. But there's also the opposite phenomenon, physical wellness that's fostered by positive feelings. Both kinds underscore the importance of managing our emotional lives. Inside our brains, hormones and other neurochemicals are being turned on and off depending on what we are feeling at any given moment. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis located in the midbrain is one of the major neuroendocrine systems that controls how we respond to stress and also regulates emotions and moods. The HPA axis is where certain hormones, such as adrenaline and cortisol, originate. Researchers studying this region of the brain have found that early life exposure to mild, everyday stressors enhances our future ability to regulate emotions and comforts lifelong resilience. But exposure to extreme or prolonged stress does just the opposite. It induces hyperactivity in the HPA axis and the lifelong susceptibility to stress. The difference between good stress and bad stress mainly has to do with duration and intensity. For instance, having to prepare a compelling presentation for a client is a form of stress, but a good kind. It's caused by a challenge of achieving a desired goal and lasts only a short time. The ending of the game or a major event, such as wedding day, affects us similarly. Stress-inducing but happy, these events from the momentary release of stress hormones, but then it ends. Sure, the push of stress can boost immunity and raise levels of cancer-fighting molecules, and the effect lasts for weeks after the stress of a situation ends. Many of us spend hours and entire days under emotional duress until it becomes a chronic condition. Our brains are bathed in a constant flow of stress hormones for which evolution has definitely not prepared us. We don't suffer only emotionally in those instances. Our physical health is affected too. Stress levels you in fight or flight state in which your body turns off long-term building and repair projects. There's ample scientific evidence of the long-term harm caused by childhood emotional trauma, such as bullying. Children may experience compromised immunity to disease, digestive tract pain and upset, headaches, poor sleep, inability to concentrate, and depression. These effects can persist into adulthood, creating physical and mental health problems long after the bullying is in the past. Feeling down, pessimism, apathy, depression is linked to low levels of serotonin and dopamine, the so-called feel-good neurotransmitters. Serotonin plays a role in pain perception, which may be why people experiencing negative emotions report more severe symptoms of illness, and nearly half of patients with depression also suffer aches and pains. Negative emotional states, anxiety, anger, sadness, stress, are closely associated with unhealthy behaviors such as poor diet, smoking, excessive drinking, physical inactivity, and social isolation, many of which we found in recent study with more than 5,000 teachers from across the United States. Those are the same lifestyle factors that contribute to our most feared and widespread illness: heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, addiction, dementia. These conditions in turn have a devastating impact on our emotional lives, and the feedback loop turns into a downward spiral for our health, mental and physical. Ultimately, they deepen our feeling of hopelessness and despair that we will ever manage to improve our moods or our health. Interestingly, we found that a positive workplace climate acted as a buffer for the deleterious effects of negative emotions on health outcome for teachers. There is a great deal of medical research linking hostility and anger to heart disease. Men reporting the highest levels of anger were over 2.5 times more likely to suffer chaotic events such as a heart attack and other men. Negative emotions have been associated with hypertension, increased heart rate, constriction of peripheral blood vessels, unhealthy blood lipids, and decreased immune system function. Not only does an angry outburst cause a spike in blood pressure, but every time we recall what made us so mad, our blood pressure rises again. According to one study, a 30-minute argument with your significant other can slow your body's ability to heal by at least a day. And if you argue regularly, the delay is doubled. Even subtle forms of anger, such as impatience, irritability, and grudginess, may damage health. We can see the influence of our emotions on our physical health in less dire ways too. The stress associated with knowing you have to a deliberate speech can double the severity of allergy symptoms for 2 days. Feeling sad makes the symptoms of illness seem more severe and cause a greater discomfort. In one study, people who scored low on positive emotions were 3 times as likely to become sick after exposure to a virus than those who scored higher. When the latter group did get sick, their symptoms were less severe. But our emotions can also prompt the release of beneficial neurochemicals and hormones. Crying is soothing because it carries stress hormones out of our bodies. Feelings of gratitude increase in oxygen levels in our tissues, speed healing, and boost our immune system. Being in love was found to raise the level of nerve growth factor, a hormone-like substance that restores the nerve system and improves memory. The effect lasted for about a year, according to researchers. In one study, laughter caused by watching a comedy film increased the flow of beta endorphins, which enhance our mood and stimulate growth hormones, which repair our cells. Even the anticipation of laughers wasn't found to lower the level of cortisol and adrenaline. Laughter may also reduce the risk of a heart attack. Feeling good, therefore, may encourage healthy behaviors, which in turn can promote greater emotional well-being and physical health. This suggests that after a crisis, people who have more positive feelings may be more resilient than those who experience fewer positive emotions. There's the obvious answer. Artistic work such as painting, music, literature, and the professions that demand and reward creativity, such as architecture, science, design, and engineering, among others. Daily, each of us has many chances to be creative, to act in new and thoughtful ways. It's what makes life an adventure. But there can be something scary about creativity too. It represents a break with the status quo and a step into the unknown. Creative decisions, even in the smallest matters, are a way of saying we think we have a better idea. And then comes an feedback from others, but even from ourselves. What if your new way doesn't work out so well? What if you made things worse, at least in somebody's eyes, though maybe not yours? What makes you think you are so creative anyway? You can see that our creative impulses and our emotions are closely intertwined. Many of us believe that personality and intelligence alone drive our ability to be creative, or that creativity is an all or nothing gift, rather a set of skills that can be improved with the practice. Through some personality traits, such as openness to experience, are relatively related to it, but traits alone don't account for everything. And research confirms that creativity is only modestly associated with IQ, meaning you don't have the genius to be creative. This is where our emotional lives extend even beyond the personal. Creativity is the lifeblood of our culture and our economy. In a poll, 1,500 corporate CEOs said that non-employees' creativity was the single best indicator of future success. Without innovation, societies stagnate and die. Creativity also includes two other factors: performance and effectiveness. Creativity can't exist only in the abstract, in our minds and nowhere else. That's just having a rich imagination. The creative process needs to be followed by a concrete action. Once we devise new strategies, we must have confidence to put them to use. Effective performance isn't much a part of creativity as the initial animating ideas. But whether we take advantage of all of the possibilities every time is a different matter. Safe to say, at times we all feel less creative than we would like to be. That's because our creativity is so closely tied to our emotional state, even though the connection may not be so obvious. Again and again, in working with educators, families, and children, we wind up discussing the ubiquitous problems of stress and the frustration. The despair of feeling as though we lack the power to make meaningful changes for the better. It's hard to imagine a worse feeling. For a child, it can be devastating. Children have a little control over their lives under the best of conditions. We all go through tough times, but most of us believe that if we persevere, we can find solutions. That's another form of creativity. Everyday creativity, the ability to keep discovering new answers when the odds once no longer work. What must life be like for children and adults? I can't hope even for that. Which measure creativity, defined as the ability to respond to situations in ways that are novel and original.